Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Inshallah, you guys are all well and kicking up with Ramadan, 5 days in, just starting the marathon, inshallah, and getting lots of barakah as you go along and a lot of ajr. So, inshallah, hang in there. I know it's a good few hours for you guys, especially in the UK, when you have to fast up to 19 hours. I've got it quite easy here. It's about 14, 13 hours. So, I'm chilling compared to you guys, but inshallah, fi sabilillah, you guys will be getting much more reward than me for the longer hours. But yeah, I wanted to start a video series during Ramadan in which I really wanted to give back something to the community to try and really help young Muslims who are struggling with faith, who are struggling with just the idea of faith, let alone Islam, how to make sense of religion in the modern world. And I really wanted to give a systematic and structured way of being able to deliver that. And at the same time, I didn't want to just spit out abstract theory to you. I wanted to make sure that whatever I did say or did give out was something that was pragmatic and also very practical, and also something that's relatable, because I think that's the key point if you want to be able to transfer meaning across to people. And I was thinking really hard about what sort of message that I wanted to give out. And for me, I think the key thing for me was that I was reflecting on how I became who I am now. So I was somebody who was completely off the deen, didn't care about religion, didn't care about prayer whatsoever. Was in the complete rock star phase. I was a musician. To now becoming a person who wants to study Sharia, dedicate his whole life towards learning the Book of Allah, the Quran, etc., and stuff like that. And the starting point and the ending point, there were many stages that I went through before reaching this. And I think I really wanted to talk about each of those stages, which I think a lot of people can relate to, because these are things which all Muslims have to go through at one point in their lives or another. Whether it's at university, start of work, start of marriage, whatever. It's a stage which all of us go through. And hopefully, I think, Annie, through my personal experiences, I hope I can share some experiences which allow you to be able to either go past the block that you're in, or even to be able to share that and then help others who are in that block or in that phase, inshallah, to help them grow out of it. And for me, there were like four main stages which I had to go through. Four main stages. I'm giving you the overview in this clip, inshallah, and then in the other clips, I'll go through each one, and hopefully that can help you out, inshallah, in your personal understanding. So the first stage that I went through was the actual change from being a non-practicing Muslim to being a practicing Muslim. How did that occur? It's not just a change in your physical habits, you start praying, etc. It's also a change of your mentality. So how do you deal with that? How do you cope with that? And what are some of the obstacles of a non-practicing person becoming practicing? So that's some of the things we'll discuss in that stage, inshallah. The second stage involved, and I think personally this is one of the biggest ones in terms of the growth of development, is the inner sectarianism within Islamic thought. So and this is something that we cannot ignore. This exists and it will keep on existing to the day of judgment. It's a fact that within the Islamic doctrine we have various sects or subsects, as you might want to call it. And obviously, for the new Muslim, or for the young Muslim who's just started off, who's just he's becoming zealous, he wants to learn more about the religion, etc. And he's now beginning to get confused by all these masses. What are the four madhabs? What is Brelvi? What is Sufi, Salafi, etc.? And all these labels start kicking in, and it just starts burdening you, like, what on earth is going on? And I can't seem to make sense of it. And eventually, when you do make sense of it, unfortunately, what happens in most cases is that people begin to lock themselves in a camp. So I belong to this camp, I belong to that camp. And how are you supposed to deal with this while at the same time not creating division amongst the ummah is a very big challenge. So that's something I'll be talking about in that stage of a Muslim's development. The third stage is when you're comfortable in the position that you've selected within the Islamic thought. You've settled your ground, you've settled your foundations. Then you begin to see outside of Islam. Why is Islam the solution for me? Or what was it that makes it so special? Because most of us, and my main audience that I'm referring to here, are people who have been born into a Muslim family, whose parents have been Muslim, and they passed on the basic teachings without actually the essence of Islam implemented into them. So it's like a carryover of a religion without fully understanding the basic essence of it. And so the only way to understand it is to then compare to other religions. And this is when you begin to compare Islam with, I don't know, Christianity, the Jews, the Jewish train of thought, Hinduism, polytheism, and all the other forms of religion that exist. What is it in Islam that makes you a Muslim? Why Islam? Are you now? Some people at this stage, they prefer to be a Muslim just because it's the easiest thing to do. Their parents were born a Muslim. Khalas, they don't want to think about it. They just have faith in that's it. Other people are not like that. They are a bit more intellectual. They want to be able to rationalize, why have I selectively chosen Islam as my solution, or the way I want to dictate my life as? That's why Islam. Yeah. So that's the section which you will talk about there when it comes to comparative theology. Then I think the fourth section, the fourth stage, let's say, is then going even a bit deeper than just comparative. And then that is, why theology at all? Why theology at all? Why believe in God at all? I mean, you're not allowed to drink, you can't have premarital sex, you can't do drugs or whatever. So why have it in the first place? Is there even a God? Can I even believe in God? Can I see God? Does it even make sense to have a God? Do we believe in angels and demons and the hereafter? Is that really true? The modern, dogmatic view of science and empiricism, everything what you see is should be the most rationally the only thing you should believe in. We can't see God, we can't feel God, we can't look at God, we can't even hear God. So what basis do we have to actually believe in God? And let alone revelation and the prophet and whatever and whatnot. What does it make any sense to believe in God? And this is I would say for me, the most intellectual part of this whole process. And that is now being able to stand as a theist, as a believing person, in a world where being a theist is a joke. We have atheists, we have philosophers, we have scientists who are aggressively demeaning religion and trying to completely remove its foundations as being a basis to live one's life. And I think this is where I think only a few will be able to filter out and reach this point, because I don't think many people like to get outside their comfortable zone, like to question themselves a lot. And for me, I think that's a big weakness in the Ummah today. Because whether we like it or not, our kids, when we grow up to be parents, and our kids are going to be going to schools, they're going to be taught evolution, they're going to be taught about empiricism, scientism, and they're going to be asking questions. Your children will be asking you questions at some point in time in the future. And if you don't have the answers, it's very likely that they might even leave faith. I mean, this is happening right now. Muslims are leaving religion, they're leaving Islam just because of evolution. They're leaving Islam because they believe that atheism is the correct stance, that there's this religion was an old folk tale stuff to control people and whatnot, and there's no such thing as a God. God was just a imaginary tale. We have anthropologists like Michael Shermer who's saying that God was just basically something people created to give themselves satisfaction. Now, how do you deal with all of this? In a world of such amazing intellectual advancements, of scientific advancements, how does a theist maintain his ground? How does a theist maintain his ground? And this is a very, very unstable path, especially if you're not critical, if you're not careful enough, because it's very easy for theists to study philosophy and then go outside of Islam and finish. That's it. They become apostates because they use their rational so much to such an extent that they completely neglect the element of faith. So to sort of, I know this may be a bit too much because I'm just trying to give you an overview here. The first stage that I went through was the actual essence of going from a non-practicing to a practicing person, and we'll cover this inshallah in the next video. The second stage was then finding your place inside the Islamic domain, the arena of Islam, which camp you fit in, or whether you want to fit in a camp, and how do you make sense of all these camps, etc. The branches of Islam that we have. Then the third thing is, why Islam at all? That's the comparative essence of religion. To be able to explain to yourself, why is Islam the best solution out of all these religions? And what does Islam have to say about people who die, who never accepted Islam? That's also another question that falls into this stage of development. And the fourth is when you completely even question everything. You question why theism, you question why God, etc. You go to the complete fundamental roots, and that's for me the basis of philosophy. These are the four stages I went through. And I think for people who are trying to reach the truth or find the truth, I think they'll be able to relate to this, inshallah. So that for me is the overview, and hopefully in the next few videos that I send out,
inshallah you can relate, and hopefully we can engage and have a dialogue, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, inshallah, and have a good Ramadan. Jazakallah khair.